The answer we hate most, I think, is play it one game at a time. When you have the top seed, do you have to guard again? Human nature would say, hey, we got 3 home games and we're in the big dance. Do you have to talk about that? Is that something you have to emphasize to the guys?
I think we always remind them of that, and I think our guys are a pretty mature group. I think they understand that, you don't get a second opportunity unless you take care of your first one. And, as much as it is a cliche, there's a reason it's a cliche, because it's true. And I think that, we talked starting Sunday night about making sure that we do everything we can to prepare ourselves to perform well on Wednesday. And that's the only thing that we can control. And I think we had a good practice yesterday. I think guys are understanding a scout. We'll go over everything again today, make sure that they're locked in and make sure they get their rest and make sure that they're ready to go tomorrow. But the opportunity to have home court is what we've earned. It doesn't guarantee you home court all the way through. And I think that's the way we got to look at it.
You told the Ron Rivera hand raising story, right? I guess outside of that, how do you kind of get through to the guys? Like it's the little things, like it's the little details that make it in the end.
I think there's times where we can point to tons of experiences that we've gone through during the course of the year. Whether it's maybe some missed free throws late in the game against Merrimack, maybe some poor late game defense here against FDU. There's a number of things we can point to and say, hey, we didn't take care of X, Y, or Z, and that's why we weren't able to be successful. And if we want to continue to be successful, we got to take care of those things. And those are the things we try and point out. And whether it's through practice setting, whether it's through film, whether it's through individual meetings, whether it's through whatever we can, late night text messages, it's whatever way we can kind of get that to sink in, how critical each and everything is. And we have a group of guys with Yanis, Charles, John, Josh, who were in a semifinal game last year, and we couldn't get a free throw rebound late in that game. And unfortunately, that was kind of the difference in the game. Down 2 with under a minute to go, missed free throw, you don't get the rebound, you got a foul, now you're down more than one possession, and all of a sudden it just becomes too much. So I think we've tried to remind them as much as we can about how important each and every detail is.
You beat them by 20 earlier in the year, then they beat you by 20. What changes this time around to make a difference?
I think it's actually an interesting, you rarely do you see outcomes like that, in a 2-week span where the same 2 teams with the same 5 starters, have dramatic differences in final outcome. And it's a good reminder for our guys. We know that St. Francis is always one of the toughest teams to play in the league. Their defensive energy is tenacious. They try and disrupt all your ability to run any kind of offense. You've got to be super strong with the ball. You can't turn it over. You've got to be thinking first. You've got to be reacting first. You've got to be able to catch the ball in areas of the court where you can make plays, because if not, you'll be running offense at half court. And we were able to watch some of that second game in Brooklyn where we didn't play well. And I told our guys after that game we could have played with 7 guys and we would have lost the game. I mean, St. Francis was so locked in and we were so not locked in that the outcome almost seemed inevitable once the first 5 minutes of that game was played. And I think it's a good way to kind of keep guys' attention as you go into a quarterfinal game, understanding kind of the best of both worlds, right? What you can do in order to be successful and what happens if you don't want to be successful. And that's what we've tried to explain to them here over the last 2 days.
Considering the fact that you've been there before, speaking of March Madness, do you have to have talks with the guys about the opportunity that's ahead of them and just sort of remind them that this is why they came here, this is...
I think you always talk about that. I mean, obviously during recruiting, you're talking about, hey, you guys are going to have the opportunity to be competing for championships. I think that's every good player I've ever been around wants to be part of the NCAA tournament, and they want to get a paycheck from playing basketball. And so I think if you have guys in your locker room that are like that, which I think we have a number of them, you don't have to have that talk as frequently, but you always need reminders. Everybody needs reminders, right? In every phase of our life, I think someone needs to remind us of something. My wife does a good job of it on a regular basis, but it's part of the process. And I think as coaches, again, whether it's through individual meetings, whether it's in group settings, whether it's through film, trying to continue to remind them that, hey, this is what you put all the hard work in for, this is what you do all the stuff in the summer for, and this is where you want to be playing at your best.
And over the years, there have been so many tight games, regardless of the seeds. What separates teams in this tournament?
Again, I think it goes back to the details, right? The difference is in the details. We say it all the time to our guys. I mean, everybody in the country does, certain drills the same, but who's going to do it more detailed? Who's going to do it more intensely? Who's going to do it with more precision? And those are usually the teams that are successful. Who understands the magnitude of those details are sometimes the teams who are successful. And we've been in a couple situations here in the last few years where we've been a higher seed and a lower seed, where we've pulled upsets and where we've been in games that we're supposed to win and have come out winning. So I think some of these guys have seen it. John's freshman year, we were a 7 seed. We went on the road and beat the 2 seed. And I think that those are experiences that he's been a part of that now can say, all right, it doesn't matter who anybody is, if we don't do what we're supposed to and we don't play well, it doesn't, the outcome isn't guaranteed.
Was part of the deal at a school like Robert Morris building throughout the year, knowing that this is kind of the opportunity to get to, NCAA tournament?
I think every team wants to build throughout the year.
Yeah.
I think every team wants to be playing their best basketball now, right? Kansas was the first unanimous #1 that we've had all year long. So obviously they've been improving as the year's gone on. And I think you'll see other teams get hot as you get into March. I think we played some really good basketball in January and early February. We had some bumps, in mid to late February, but I think those were all learning lessons for us. And, I thought Saturday we played a really good game. Now we got to go and continue to build on that and take all the lessons we've learned during the course of the season and try and apply them.
Andy, obviously it led to a quick start for you guys on Saturday, but how, I don't know if difficult's the word, but the decision is whether or not to start AJ and having that ability to bring him off the bench, that is the decision.
We just felt like we needed a little more energy to start the game, and obviously when he hits the court, usually 3 or 4 minutes into the game, he provides a lot of that for us. And just as we talked about it as a staff, and whether it was our FDU game on the road where we just didn't have a lot of juice to us at the beginning of the game, felt like we needed a little more life. And I thought not only did we get life from that move, I thought everybody else that was on the court with him brought a lot of life. You saw a lot of passion from John and Josh and Yanni's guys that are usually pretty stoic, and I think we tried to urge them to do that, because I think sometimes that can be the separator. I think it's great to go out and play and be even keeled, but this is an emotional game, and I've never seen a championship level team that doesn't exude some of that emotion and doesn't have that passion that's visible and kind of drive their play. And I think that it was good to see that on Saturday from everybody. And then I think the way that those guys started, I think it made it easier for everyone else to join that idea of playing with that passion and that emotion, and it carried us to a victory.
In those 2 regular season games, the team that got off to the big start, the other team was unable to come back.
Yeah, and I don't, I hope we don't have to see them again in any way, shape, or form. But they're an extremely talented team, and they jumped on us real hard up there, and we were able to kind of get on them here, and we knew they would fight back and make it competitive at the end like they did, and so we still need to make plays. But I thought that energy and emotion carried us through the entire game. Which, if you're going to beat a good team, you got to be able to play all 40 minutes.
Do you expect to fill this place tomorrow night?
I hope. I hope people come out and really want to get a piece of the building and the team. And I know that all the people that I've come in contact with that have been here have really enjoyed their experience. Talked about what a great place it is to watch a game, what a great environment. This place can get very, very loud quickly, even not filled to capacity. So we're hoping to have a great crowd. And, I know our guys would appreciate it. I hope, people respect the work and the things that they've done to earn this #1 seed and come out and support them because of it.